How does healthy self-esteem look like?
Well, I think of healthy self-esteem as a kind of a positive self-regard. It's based on a real accomplishments, which we often underestimate. And I would just want to kick it off by saying that sometimes we think a tough childhood makes it difficult for us to really make something out of our lives. But I would say that it could start at any point in life that we can build our self-esteem. And the teenage years are a wonderful, fresh beginning. So I'm looking forward to discussing that with all of you.
Okay. So how do you build your self-esteem to a healthy point?
Well, I think it's important to surround ourselves with people who make us feel good. I mean, relationships are about supporting us, not tearing us down or being abusive, don't you think?
I agree, and I also think that sometimes joining clubs or having activities where you participate with other people, because you're going to get positive feedback. And I also think healthy self-esteem is a strong sense of identity, is knowing your boundaries, knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no. And hearing feedback from other people, I think, can really contribute to those kinds of boundaries and to knowing, I'm doing a good job. And it's, you've always heard that saying, like, do the right thing even when no one's looking. That can make you feel very proud of yourself.
Going back to what Dr. Hayden said, I think everything starts with yourself and at home. So if you are surrounded with people that are constantly building up your self-esteem, that tell you that you're pretty, with your parents that are positive role models for you, then that will also build up your self-esteem. And when you have a high self-esteem with yourself, that builds up your confidence as a person. So you do become your own individual, like Alexandra said. So I think everything starts at home and with yourself. You have to build a healthy relationship with yourself first before you can have a healthy relationship with anyone else.
Yeah, because like if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. Because it always starts with you and it ends with you. You have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. No matter if you get married and your husband die or your kids die, you still have to live with yourself. So loving yourself is the way to go.
So what about relationships? How do you think that could affect your self-esteem?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think at some point, as both these ladies were saying, that when you know yourself, you're at a much better chance of having a healthy relationship. And I think a healthy relationship is a relationship where you have trust and honesty. And we talk a lot about that at Start Strong Bronx. And we've been talking a lot about that for the past several weeks and months with both Brianna and Fantasia, just talking about the communication and honesty and support. And it's not just in an intimate partner, it's with friends and colleagues. And as you were saying earlier, it has to do also with your family. It's getting to know your family. Like, do you have a good relationship with your parents? What does that look like? And that goes into healthy relationships with intimate partners. And I think sometimes when you feel relaxed and comfortable and you feel free to be the individual that you've always wanted to be, those are really great qualities of healthy relationships. Is that what you've been learning these past several weeks? What do you both think?
I think so. I think, like, with a healthy relationship, equality, trust and honesty, those are all, and respect are all building blocks in a healthy relationship. Because back with your parents, to me, everything starts at home. So with your parents, if they give you respect, you give them respect. If you can trust your parents, in our interview with Jenny, she said children have eating disorders. But if you're a parent and you don't know, or if you're a teenager and your parents, don't really respect you as a teenager, and they won't pay attention to your actions, then they won't know you're suffering from an eating disorder. So it goes back to a healthy relationship with your parents. And sometimes parents don't know how to have a healthy relationship, but if you learn to trust your children and have equality in your relationship, because it's not only, some parents just think it's only them because they're their parents, so they tell you you have to go by their rules, but it's also a consideration of how your child feels. So if you have a healthy relationship with your parents, you will just be healthy.
Well, I think also that like Alexandra said, that your important relationship may not be with a parent. Mm-hmm. It might be a boyfriend, it might be a girlfriend, it might be a friend, it might be a peer, it might be a teacher. Anyone who notices when you're not okay is somebody who cares about your feelings and cares about you. So I think also that confidant would be someone you would turn to, or someone who might point out to you, hey, you don't look like yourself, or is something wrong, or being a person that you can go to talk to, I think is also a healthy relationship in different kinds of forms.
Yes, and I think, sometimes when we talk about relationships, people often think it's just the intimate partner relationship.
Right.
But I also jokingly always say, like, we're having a relationship now. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Is it built on mutual respect? What's it based on? And I think we can learn these things from our friendships and carry them over into our intimate partners.
I sometimes think about self-esteem is related to identity. So if I have a positive identity or a negative identity, I tend to hang on to that. So sometimes if I find myself in an emotional rut, and I find somebody who really sees something positive in me, it's often difficult to accept that. We resist compliments. So we can sort of think our way out of the rut by allowing those who see positive in us and open ourselves a little bit to what they have to say. And that's where positive friendships, mentoring relationships, the parent, the aunt, the uncle, somebody you're close to who sees your potential. And you maybe doubt your own potential, but you open yourself up to what the other person sees in you, and then you can modify your identity a little bit.
So yeah, I think that how can parents actually like get closer with their kids? Like, 'cause you know how it's like awkward to talk to your teens and stuff. How do you think parents can get closer to their children?
I think they need to pay attention. A lot of times parents are distracted. I mean, we do have very limited time sometimes. The parents are working or they have their own stressors. And I think that they're not noticing their kids, or they don't have quality time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but it has to be time where I'm paying attention just to you. Like we're paying attention to each other now. It doesn't need to be hours, even if it's just 15 minutes. And we tend to ask kind of pat questions like, how was your day? And then we don't listen to the answer. So we're asking a question, but we're not listening to the answer, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think also parents just need to take a big breath before they tackle some questions, because some questions are scary, It's like maybe you don't want to actually know what the answer is. And I think, a lot of times parents are scared of the questions, so they're not going to engage the youth as much. But in my heart, I believe parents really want that strong relationship with their youth.
All right. So what about if a teen's in like a sexually abusive relationship with like the boyfriend, or their boyfriend is.
Well, it's in boyfriends and girlfriends, and we have to be really careful because we can find that in boyfriend-girlfriend, girlfriend-girlfriend, and boyfriend-boyfriend relationships. Teen dating abuse and teen dating violence, unfortunately, is prevalent. And, there are warning signs. Is the child becoming withdrawn, or is a teen becoming withdrawn? Are they getting a lot of text messages, like, 200 or 300 text messages in a day? There can be a lot of abuse, and I think as a parent, sit down with your child and just say, what's going on? How are you feeling? You start at the very simple, basic levels. What else would you recommend?
Well, I think also, there's also emotional abuse. And in a relationship, sometimes it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It can be emotional abuse. If you have an overly protective partner who doesn't let you see your friends and only wants to have your time, wants to know exactly where you are all the time and always calling you, a friend might be able to say, hey, we haven't hung out. How come you always have to be with your boyfriend? I mean, I feel like that. And it's not, it's a scary thing. And I think that, bruising, if you notice bruising, that's all an extreme. But I think sometimes it's not the real extreme things, it's the minor things.
It's like the withdrawal, the, not wanting to leave your room.
And feeling like you don't have any other choices.
But I think that, I'm sorry. I think it comes back with equality in a relationship. So if you have equality, then you wouldn't have anything balancing out or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank my guests at this roundtable today. Fantasia Dunton, Rihanna Yarbrough, Miss Jenny Stern, Miss Alexandra Smith, and Dr. Hayden. Stay tuned because this is Open 2.0.